So, firstly, Vinod, welcome to round number two of the Blockchain DXP podcast. And hopefully, Vinod, this episode is going to be aired on your podcasting channel as well. And hopefully, the name is Resurrection Events Dubai. It's going to be absolutely wicked. Now, before we start today's episode, Vinod, I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for keeping the spirit of metal alive. I'm pretty much sure I'm talking about this, not just on my behalf, but on behalf of the other band members and even the listeners as well. Now, in this particular episode, Vinod, you have quite a lot of things to get out of your chest. So I'm pretty much sure that listeners, band members, and even other event organizers who potentially might be competitors would love to see and would love to hear what you have to say. Now, before we kickstart today's episode, Vinod, just wanted to check how things are because right now, the weather in Dubai is absolutely mad, isn't it? And last week, you also had a SummerSlam party right in the middle of the desert with degrees hovering around 45 degrees. So just wanted to check, how has your day been so far?
Hey, George, thanks a lot for inviting me over to this podcast. Really, really happy to be a part of this. And yeah, like you said, there's lots of things to talk about, lots of things that that I think should be out there in the open. As far as weather is concerned, it's better not much to talk about. I mean, it's blistering hot out here right now. Uh, but yeah, overall, the SummerSlam 1 and 2 festivals have been pretty good. It was a good response. I think the fans enjoyed it a lot. We did it at the Fusic Lounge in Bar Dubai, which is an excellent venue, and I think it went off well. And thanks a lot for being part of the SummerSlam, and thank you so much for being a real genuine supporter of Resurrection events and myself. Thanks a ton, George. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk about a few things that's on my mind about the scene here in the Middle East and specifically about Dubai and how it can get better, or maybe I just want to put this out in the open so the other listeners across the world would know, the scene, the metal scene here in Dubai or in the Middle East, the challenges and the thrills and the spills that we have here in the Middle East. It's not so easy like in the other countries where you just put up a show right when you think is the right time, but here it needs a lot of planning, a lot of back work needs to be done. Of course, as you know, the number of metalheads in the Middle East are very, very limited, and especially those who listen to brutal death metal or brutal metal or anything that is technical, or it's very, very challenging. Yes, George, I'm open to your questions. Please go ahead.
Absolutely, and you just mentioned about brutal death metal, and that is a genre, which most likely will not be entertained, especially in the Middle Eastern countries and probably in the other regions as well. Now, before we get into the nitty gritties, Vinod, now in a first episode, we talked about how you got into heavy metal and your passion for organizing event. Now, for our new listeners, can you very briefly touch base on your history in heavy metal and how you've organized different events?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm from a city in India called as Bangalore, which I fondly call it as Head Bangalore. So that's where I'm from. And my journey with heavy metal started in the early 90s, attending shows in my home city of Bangalore. Attending all the rock concerts or heavy metal shows in pubs and underground cellars and a lot of venues. I even traveled to places like Manipal, which is mostly engineering colleges around. I've attended festivals across the region, especially in the south of India. I moved to the Middle East in 2004, as I mentioned in my previous podcast. So when I came to the Middle East, my biggest fear was that I'm not going to be listening to heavy metal, or I will not have access to any heavy metal at all. So for me, the best way to be a part of it all the while was to organize things. So when I first moved to Oman, my biggest challenge was to try and create a community back in Oman. So it was I lived in Muscat from 2004 to 2009. So for me, the biggest thing was to set up a metal community in Oman. So it just so happened that I was at one of the pubs watching a football game, and I see this huge jeep which is parked right outside the pub, and it had a big stair, cover on the back of the jeep. I was wondering, who would, in all extremities, would have a Slayer cover on their tires on the back of the Jeep. So I thought it must be someone who's, just don't know what the music is, blah, blah, blah. And then I see the Jeep and I walk away. I see that Jeep again going around town. I saw it a couple of times in town, and then I started inquiring with a few friends. Do you know someone with this name? So one of the guys that I met in the pub said, "Oh, this guy is my cousin, and he really listens to death metal and thrash metal." And I was like, "Wow, really? You know, man?" And he said, "Yes." And so that's where my journey in the Middle East actually started, and he's a good friend of mine. His name is Kais Al Sabag. So once I met him, that's when things started opening up in the Middle East for me. So he introduced me to other people into heavy metal in Oman specifically, and there was a local band called as Arabia, who were the black metal band in Oman as such. It's really surprising. So I was like, wow, is there a black metal band in Oman? So I get introduced to the member of the band. His name is Shabib, and he is trying to put out an album called as the Black Pearl. That was the first album by Arabia in the Middle East. So I was going to their jam sessions. I was going to their recording sessions in Oman. They had a home studio. So that's where the journey started. And finally, the Omani band Arabia put out their first album called as Black Pearl, which I have a copy of it. I mean, it must be one of the rarest bands here in the Middle East, and nobody must have heard about it. Um, so, and then they wanted me to be their band manager and do some stuff with them and take them out and do events and things like that. So I opened the doors for them to do an interview with the local newspaper, which is the Times of Oman, and they were featured in Times of Oman as the first Omani black metal band, and they got their pictures. And so it was there that I started building in 2005 around where they had their first interview. And then I went and I knew a few people at the Grand Hyatt in Muscat. So they had a bar they called as a Safari, and I went and spoke to the manager and I said, I have a band who would like to do a show here at your venue. I said it's a heavy metal band and they play heavy metal music, but they're all local Omani boys who are playing this kind of music. I think we should give them an opportunity. So he said, yeah, sure, why not? And it was on a Sunday evening, one either in 2006 or whatever, and he said, "There is a slot open. Do you think the band can play live at the Grand Hyatt Muscat?" So I was like, "Why not?" So I called up the guys, excited like a child. I said, "Listen, I got a gift for you guys, and you guys are, being asked to play at the Grand Hyatt Muscat." They were like shocked because that was the last place they imagined that things would happen. So we went ahead with the show, and we called out all our friends and people across, and we invited everyone over. There must have been around 50 to 100 people come to watch us. So that was one of the first kind of gigs that I organized in Middle East. So it's pretty excited, and this I had a great feeling to have put up a band and an unknown band to come up on stage and play, and that's where all the excitement and my passion to do shows started. So, progressing in my career, I had to move from my company in Oman, Muscat, to Manama, Bahrain, in the year 2009. Manama in Bahrain, I already had built up quite a few friends who were into heavy metal in Bahrain. I met them all at the Desert Rock Festival here in Dubai in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. And of course, I attended Wacken since 2007, 8 onwards. So I met them in Wacken as well. So I was pretty much at home when I went to Bahrain, and I knew these guys, and we used to chill out at a pub there called as Diggers. And So I had a couple of friends, Omar Zainul, who now plays for Hellion Knight, and he plays for Smoldering in Forgotten, and also Hani Taki, who owns the Studio 77 in Bahrain, which is a studio in itself, and records rock metal bands at the studio. And he's a sound engineer by profession. So I was talking to these guys, and I said, "Why don't we put up a show here in Bahrain? Why don't we call bands?" Speaking to these guys, and they said, "Yeah, but the problem is, oh, we are too scared. There was a big incident in Bahrain where we did a concert, we did a show, and what happened was the police came and then we had to disperse, and they caught a couple of people, they put them in jail, and this kind of music is seen as haram, and it's not right to see these bands play." And this was, I think, this kind of an incident happened sometime in 2000 or 1999 or something like that. And so, pretty much, the heavy metal community in Bahrain were pretty much scared to do something like this in Bahrain. So they didn't have the courage to do it, or I can't say courage. It was a concern because nobody wanted to spoil their career, or nobody wanted to get in the wrong hands of the law and stuff like that. So I went up, and I again I followed the same principle that I did in Oman with the Grand Hyatt Hotel. I went up to a place called as Rock Bottom, which is owned by the Rami Group in Jufair in Bahrain. I said, "See, I knew the guys because I was living there, and all the managers and everybody knew me." And I told them that, "See, we want to do a concert at your place. Your particular hotel is close to the American base in Bahrain. Why don't we do a rock concert? Why don't we invite some people, etc., etc." And the management were little reluctant because they didn't know what they were getting into, and they had to get some permissions or whatever. And after a couple of weeks, they said, "Okay," they gave us the green signal, and let's go ahead and let's do it. So now I had to join hands with the local team of Omar and Hani and everyone else. So, and we invited Perversion, and we invited Nervecell to play in Bahrain.
Oh,
This was
Perversion is one
in
of my favorite bands as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so Perversion and Nervecell were one of the first bands that played in Bahrain in 2009-10. In fact, there must be some recording somewhere out there. But yeah, that's how we did it. And there was also a local band who opened up. That show went pretty smooth. And yeah, this gave us a lot of encouragement. And Hani took over the mantle, and he wanted to do another show. So we went to one of the oldest venues in Bahrain called as Tabasco Charlie's, and we spoke to the management, and they said, "All right, yeah, you can do a show, and why not?" Things like that. So we did our first, and our company is called as Resurrection Events back in Bahrain. Back in 2010, we have released a Volume 1 DVD of Resurrection Events Bahrain. If you go on YouTube, you can see those videos of the live show that happened there. So we had, I think, three or four bands that were part of the event way back in 2010, and Nervecell was headlining the show. We had Motor Militia, we had Smoldering and Forgotten, we had a local band called as Lunacist, who were also part of this. So there were four or five people, and the venue was packed to the hilt. I mean, there was no space to breathe, and Hani somehow got a video camera and hooked it up, and we recorded this first one of the first jam-packed events in Bahrain, and Nervecell was playing with a drummer called as Kevin, who later on went to play for Sepultura, and he also played with the French Benighted, uh, the death metal band. So they played, and the show was a huge, huge success. I mean, it was packed to the hilt. The management of Tobacco Charlies was so happy, and I think we did a repeat show there a couple of times in 2010-11, and from there onwards we moved to another arena uh, close to Adlia. I think this was owned by one of the media guys there, and he let us use his venue, which had a proper stage and a proper venue. But I think unfortunately I don't remember the name, but it's closed right now. So we had all the local bands perform there. The Bahraini local metal scene is huge, and all those bands performed there in 2010, 11, and it was great. The gigs were great. The response from the crowd was great, and so it was mainly honey, but I was giving support in terms of some marketing and getting the bands and whatever. So that's where Resurrection event started way back in 2010 in Bahrain. And 2012, unfortunately, we had the Middle East, the uprising back in Bahrain as well. So I had to move from Bahrain to Dubai in 2012. So my journey in the Middle East moved. In between, I had a small stint in Qatar as well, and then I moved to Bahrain and to Dubai. And in 2012, when I landed in Dubai, the scene here in Dubai was already on, and they had DJ and metal nights, and they had some international bands playing, and there were a couple of organizers doing shows in Dubai. So I saw quite a lot of bands such as Grave. I saw Obscura. I saw many bands, including bands such as Pagan Altar. A lot of bands were performing in Dubai as such. So I was thinking, why not? And I think there were local people who, organizers who were still part of the scene. Bani, one of them, and Mutassam of Magnese was organizing shows. There was Fawaz who was organizing shows. And then, of course, there was no more Dubai Rock Festival. Um, so that's the scene that was happening. It was still underground. It was still under the rap, and it was being held at Ratsky back in Holiday Inn. There was another hotel called the Howard Johnson, where on Barzubai on the main Bank Street, where the bands used to play. Nervecell used to play there. Lots of bands have played there in that venue. That's around the time when music room opened up to rock and metal, and that's when events started happening around 2012 or maybe slightly before that, when the shows were happening in music room. And I did one of the first resurrection events back in 2013 with five bands here in Dubai. To name them, it was Creative Waste from Saudi Arabia was part of the show. We had Stigmata from Sri Lanka, who was part of it. Matic Rust from the Philippines, Dubai, who were part of that show. And then I had also Devoid, one of the upcoming death thrash bands from India, also part of the show. And I had Smoldering and Forgotten from Bahrain as well. So it was a huge success. I think there were 400, 500 people at the music room for this first resurrection event in Dubai. So that was way back in 2013, and then things started changing where the Dubai municipality and the BDCM came up with certain rules where you need to get permissions, and all band members need to have permissions. You need to have each performing member of the band will have to pay permission charges, and there was tax and things like that. That's when slowly there was a decline in terms of rock and metal shows, because there were a couple of cancelled shows, and it was really challenging to put up a show because gathering all this money for an entrepreneur or for an individual metalhead is very very difficult in Dubai, where we are all most of the expats here are all financial migrants, and we've migrated to this country to earn money, and we are basically financial migrants. So it was tough times, as I remember, from 2014, 2013, 2014 onwards. So from there, I started moving on to playing some DJ music, or DJ metal music, basically back in a pub which was called Zephyr. next to City Max Hotel, now part of the Grand Excelsior Hotel in Bardubai. So I used to play some music, and then I used to contribute to the gigs here and there by playing music. I'm a playlist DJ. You know, you cannot really mix heavy metal music because you have to play all the full songs. So I do a playlist for a particular event, and that's what I used to do. So I used to have every weekend. I used to have a DJ night or a heavy metal DJ night where I used to have people from across UAE attending the shows at Zafar, which later on changed their name to Dugout, and now I think it still remains as Dugout. So that's where I used to do all my DJ heavy metal nights, and things were going great, and lots of people attended the DJ heavy metal nights, and they had their requests, and we had a place where we could go out, chill, have a drink, listen to heavy metal music, and that's what I wanted as well. Myself as a fan of this heavy metal music, and it was fun for me to play music for friends and people I didn't know, and I made a lot of friends. Met a lot of people over the years, and yeah, and this is where my journey actually started in terms of doing shows or organizing or meeting people. And during this time, we also started the WhatsApp group now that you're part of, which is the Resurrection Metal Events WhatsApp group called as Metalheads United here in the UAE. So that's where we started in 2019, and then due to COVID, lots of things, kind of closed down in terms of live music, live shows, DJ music, heavy metal. So everything was closed for a bit, since 2020, 2021. And then I reopened doors at another bar. Or things started moving to Barsha area. So that's when one of the pubs invited me to do a show in Barsha. And I kicked off in Barsha in a small venue called as Mix Bar, which is soundproof, and I continued doing DJ heavy metal nights at Mix Bar. And then as and when it progressed, I slowly started getting some of the bands to play live as well. So I used to do a DJ set, and then a live band used to play, and then I had two bands play. So it depended on night to night. So I had Tribe Conspiracy who played with me.
Yeah.
I had Mandirigma, the Pantera cover band, the Filipino Pantera cover band, play with me. We had Tabernacle play with us as well in those gigs. I also had a few other bands who have played and open shows at the Mix Bar back in 2021, back in the Golden Tulip Hotel Barsha. And so things progressed from there, and then people got to know and hear about it and things like that. So I said, why not scale it up to another level? And here comes another call from one of the venues called as Liquids. They said, why don't you come and do some shows here? Because I knew the manager, who was the manager at Howard Johnson, and back in the days when Nervecell played there. So he said, let's do shows here, and that's when I started again seriously getting international bands in Dubai, which I had stopped after the Devoid Creative Waste Stigmata show back in 2013. So on 8th of October, I got the Indian thrash metal band Morphia in Liquids. So this was in 20.
Was it 2022? Was it?
Well, yeah, I think it was 2022. So yeah, that was one of the first shows. Then I went on to a lot more. We had Cenotaph from Turkey, brutal death metal band from Turkey, who did a show with us. We had Inferner, who were from Pakistan, do their black metal version of their songs here. We had local bands, Reprobate, Tribe Conspiracy, Mandirigma. We had lots of local bands who supported me during those days. Skull Crusher, I have to mention, was one of them. And then we had Abdiante supporting us all our events. So from there onwards, I started to build up my scene with the Resurrection events as such. And so the journey is on, and I believe it's going to go on. So I did the March Massacre, as you're aware, and we had three big bands, Unfathomable Ruination, we had Gutslit and Godless from India. So yeah, onwards and upwards. So that's how the journey started, and the latest was the Slam Fest with the local bands, and yeah, looking forward to doing more shows in Dubai. And yeah, this is kind of a brief journey that I can recollect of how I started and how I moved from Oman to Bahrain, Bahrain to Dubai, and then started some shows in Dubai. Then went on to do some playlist DJing of metal music, and then now I'm kind of not a big organizer like some of them, like Metal East or Joe Scene here in Bahrain. They are the biggest, like in Dubai. I mean, and also Metal Fest back in Bahrain with Studio 77. And doing some shows in 2023. Got a few bands lined up coming to Dubai, international bands coming, and I also want local bands to also go and play in India, in Bangalore, as well as other countries around the GCC, maybe Qatar and Bahrain as well. So this is my objective as far as 2023 is concerned. Let's see how it goes. I mean, if things work well, and of course, this weekend I have Girish and the Chronicles, which is another one of my favorite rock bands in the world. I mean, they are great. This is organized by Team Palaj, and I know them as friends, and it's being done at the Fusic Lounge. So there's lots of things in my mind or in my plate, apart from my regular media job that I do, on a day-to-day basis to earn my bread. But the events or the organizing thing is just a passion. It's not for the money. The money that I spend is more than the money I earn, or it's basically peanuts. It's rich with a lot of challenges as far as sound is concerned, and permissions, and all those things that we're going to talk about now.
Absolutely, and that is beautifully said. And I'm pretty much sure all of the listeners who will be listening to this podcast will definitely be inspired. And what I mentioned earlier as well is that the metal community definitely requires people like you to keep the spirit of metal alive. And one thing, honestly, Vinod, which I really liked is earlier on you said to get an unknown band in the stage that give you a different satisfaction, and that is so beautiful. And as an event organizer, I can only imagine what kind of feeling that would be. Now, talk to us about organizing events. Now, what are some of the challenges from your point of view that you face, which let's say us listeners or attendees are not aware about it? So, can you very briefly tell us what are the obstacles or challenges that you face, particularly when you're organizing, let's say, heavy metal events in the Middle East and particularly in Dubai?
As an organizer, the main challenge is to find a suitable venue with a suitable sound. That is our biggest challenge that we face, because earlier on, all the shows were being held at Music Room or a couple of other small other venues. But since Music Room has moved on, and we've had a rather short supply of places where heavy metal music could be played. This is the one big challenge that we have. The second big challenge that we have is to find the right sound engineer to ensure the sound is perfect and as per the requirements of the band, or being audible. Dubai being a big place, each of the venue has its own sound challenges. This is challenge number two. Challenge number three, after getting these two sorted, is to ensure that the venue is happy with the revenues that they generate out of a heavy metal show, because without which they would not allow us to do another show. And so this is number three. And number four is the smooth conduct of the show in terms of the mosh pits and the fun. When you see these mosh pits, they're like a little surprise, and the security jumps in, and so I just brief all my venues about mosh pits, and I tell them to stay clear away from the crowds and not to get into any arguments. The next factor is, of course, from organizer point of view, is what should be the ticket price if you're getting an international band. Should there be a ticket price for local bands when local bands are performing? Although there is a cost incurred by me to pay the sound engineer to do the marketing activities on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, then there is certain sound equipment that I might have to hire to ensure the show goes on smooth. Plus, I also get a photographer, a videographer. These are all things that needs to be paid for. So even if it's a local show, there is cost associated with it. And to ensure there is a crowd coming in, I also try and keep it free, sometimes paid, it depends. And I also try and keep the offers of the bar very, very reasonable, such as the last Summer Sun Fest 1 and 2, we had buy one, get one free all through the night. I mean, no
Yeah.
other bar in Dubai was offering that, or you don't get, and this was at a value for money price, and watching a band or a couple of bands for free. So this is another challenge that we have. How much should we price the tickets for local bands and for international bands? Now, for international bands, it becomes really challenging because you have the flight costs, you have the hotel stay, you have their catering, you have their transportation, you have their other miscellaneous expenses, and also mainly their the band payment to the band for performing here in Dubai. So there are a lot of aspects that needs to be considered for an international band, and also not to forget the permissions that needs to be got for conducting a show such as these here in Dubai. So we need to get the DTCM permissions in proper. We need to get everything in order in terms of the hotel. So these permissions can cost anywhere between for each band anywhere between 4,500 dirhams to somewhere around 7,000 dirhams.
That is
Um,
per band, you're saying?
that's per band because it depends if the band is a 4 member or a 5 member piece. So
Oh,
there is a tax. So there's a lot of money involved, or a lot of things that's involved behind the scenes, which not many of the audiences know about or are unaware, and they think it's just yeah, just it's so easy, put up a gig and yeah, and charge the tickets and whatever. There are so many permissions that are required. There are different permissions for different events. There's for a jam night, for example, you need permission. For a karaoke night, you need permission. If it's a permission for an Indian troop band, you need different permission. If it's a conference, you need a different permission. If it's a live seminar, you need a different permission. So there is a various combination of permutation and combination of stuff that is there. So it's really complicated. I mean, complicated in the sense that you need to know you don't want to get on the wrong side of the law, and you need to
yeah,
ensure that all the procedures and everything are clear. You need passport copies of bands, which is very important. You need a photograph of the band members. You also need a description of the type of event, what the event is going to be like, and also if visas are required for bands such as coming from India or anywhere from different parts of the world, such as Egypt, Syria, Iran, they need different timelines and different permissions. Uh, there are a lot of fees, such as the submission fee, you have the permission fee, you have the entertainers fee, you
yeah.
have the handling fee, you have the e-permit fee. I mean, it's not like organizing events back in India or back anywhere else in the world. These are, and there is also a different permission for ticketed events which needs to be done. So these are all permissions that you require, and you also require a no objection certificate from the hotel, which needs to be supplied along with these documentations. So these are all stuff that needs to be done before you organize a show here in Dubai. I mean, it's not like a DIY show where you just conjure up a couple of bands and get them to play at a venue. I mean, it needs a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, a lot of background work, and I don't have a team of people at with resurrection events. I mean, it's just me, myself, and I hire sound engineers here in Dubai as that.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think a reminder to our listeners is that you're doing this out of passion with your own hard earned money, and you have a full time job,
Yes.
and you have a family as well. So, from a listener's point of view, we definitely need to be aware about it. Now, when you were telling me about these different licenses, I was just thinking that, whenever I release my podcast, just to create an artwork, it takes me roughly around 35 minutes to an hour. I can only imagine, the number of paperwork that you do for international bands with different permits and licenses, and you're doing this all by yourself. And what I think is, from an individual point of view, there are people who have passion, but there are very few people who are good at it. But attending your events, I think you have combined it really well. You have the passion for arranging these events, and you're doing it beautifully well as well. And every time we see you at the venue, you have the brightest of smiles. You have the most welcoming person I probably ever met.
It's a
You carry
thankless
much
job,
warmth.
George. It's a thankless
Yeah,
job, to be honest. It's a thankless job. I mean, see, doing these shows, there are always challenges. Which a band or an audience will not know how much it takes to just put up a show here in Dubai. So, just coming back to the point of sound engineering, I mean, this itself is like at some of the gigs, it's like rocket science, because some of the engineers that I hire have no clue about sound engineering, and they want to jump in and do the live sound for local bands. I've in fact gone through over almost 10 sound engineers in the last 2 years. I mean, every time it's a different challenge, and still not right sound as being able to get the right live sound. Although some of the sound engineers are there who can do it, but they're very expensive for a DIY show where I cannot afford them and cannot put money from my pocket to get this done. There are no contributors. I mean, nobody wants to volunteer and say, "Hey, listen up, man. Why don't I contribute some money towards a sound engineer?" I mean, that would be a welcome thing where I can get a professional sound engineer. But all they want to do is, "Hey, the show was great, man, but the sound could be better. Yeah, we had this issue, that issue." It's easy to complain. It's easy to say, this and that. But more importantly, I look at the bigger picture where we're talking about bands coming on stage and giving them an opportunity to play in front of an audience of 50, 100, 150 people. So that's what I'm looking at. My thing is, I'm happy. I'm this as long as everybody is happy. I mean, the audience, the bands, the people, the venue, everyone else. Once you have these challenges coming up, and always you have complaints coming up, you're kind of demotivated. You're not happy to do these kind of shows, because you put in a lot of effort. You don't have anyone volunteering to come up and say, "Hey, man, was back in my days in India or Oman or anywhere else across the world." I think there are a lot of people who want to contribute, who want to volunteer. They put up their hands and come up and say, "Hey, can I help you with the sound? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with marketing? Can I help you with promoting the event?" It's me myself. I do it when my free time, while I'm doing my job, while I'm handling my family. I have two kids. My younger one is a heavy metal one. But yeah, so I juggle all these things, and I'm still passionate. I'm still loving it. But I'm really surprised with we have one of the best sound engineering institutes here in Dubai, the SAE, where they must be churning out a lot of graduates in sound engineering. I mean, I don't know where these guys go, where these students go. I mean, they might be getting more lucrative shows, whether it is EDM or whether it's disco or trance or seminars or corporate events or whatever. So I don't see these qualified engineers coming up to do a rock or a heavy metal show, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of time to deal with a lot of bands. You need a lot of patience. There are a lot of venue challenges in terms of the sound. So I don't see these engineers come up and do shows. Yeah, I've seen a few of them, two or three of you who are floating around, but I'm sure they also would prefer to go and do a bigger gig or a bigger event than a rock or a heavy metal show, where it doesn't give them that recognition, or it doesn't give them that thing on their CV as such. So I've been experimenting with these sound engineers as well over the last couple of years. Well, having said that, it's also some of the bands, some of the
yeah,
bands, really need some exposure to play live, because when you're playing in a studio environment, when you're practicing, when you're playing in a studio environment, the sound is controlled. You make a mistake, you have always the opportunity to go and you know change the sound or reset it and restart and whatever. But when it's in a live situation, live atmosphere, then you need to adapt. You need to change. You need to be aware of the sound, your equipment, all your pedals and things like that. Your sound of your guitar might sound great in the studio, but might not be sounding great at the venue. So your tuning of your instruments, you need to come for a sound check. This
Yeah,
is a basic thing. Some of
absolutely.
the bands don't come for sound checks, all the way organize it before the show. They don't, because either they're working, which I understand, which I respect, and I completely understand that. But the challenge is still you need to do a sound check. You need to check how you feel, what kind of sound needs to be set, on the mixer. So it's very important for bands to come up on time. When you'll have three members of the band. You're waiting for the drummer. This is a free gig or a paid gig or whatever, but there's no discipline as such. But when you go back to India, you see some of the Indian bands or some of the other bands across the world, whether it's UK or US or whatever. The only reason that they're able to get out there and show off their music so much more is because they practice, 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 practice. They only live, breathe music. They only live, breathe to play live. They only live, breathe to practice, and they're honing their skills every day. But here in Dubai or in the Middle East, like I said in the beginning, we're all financial migrants and we're all here to make our bread and butter. Like you have a different job, to earn your money. So do all the band members. So there are very few bands other than Nervecell who are professional or who are playing big gigs outside of the country at this moment. I mean, so there are very few bands actually played live outside of UAE or the Middle East. I see Helium Night from Bahrain who are doing that. They just played recently at the Obscene Extreme Festival in Zek. So they are another band who are going out. Creative Waste was another band which is good from Saudi Arabia, doing a lot of shows outside. We have an upcoming band from Saudi Arabia, which is Dusk, which is doing quite a lot of shows. They did some shows here in Qatar, in Dubai, and in Bahrain. So Dusk is another upcoming band that I can see doing some shows. Yeah, I mean there are a lot of bands that are there, but how many? I mean, it's not pointing fingers or whatever, but how many of you are well versed in playing live? I mean, playing in a studio environment is completely different. You have a different equipment and everything. I mean, so how do you adapt to a live audience as a band? It's only through practice. I mean, that's where I'm trying as a resurrection events. I'm trying hard to get these bands on stage, get them the live feel. Because if they're going to go and perform at, let's say, Bangalore Open Air or Wacken Open Air or any of these big festivals, Hellfest or whatever, you need to remove your stage fright. You need to remove your fright of your instruments going haywire. I mean, you need to be pretty confident. You need to be having your stage presence. You need to have. You not just go out there and just play the guitar and that's about it. And you need to have stage presence. You need to have the charisma. You need to have the charm. You need to have the what can I say? These are basics. I mean, a lot of the Middle Eastern bands need that. And I mean, it only happens. There are some great bands. I'm not saying there aren't, because like Nervecell or whatever. Then there needs to be an audience interaction between the band and the audience. I mean, I don't see that happening. It's just come plug and play, and it's. I know time is short, but there needs to be a mix in the audience. The band needs to mix around with the audience, get to know their audience before they get on stage, have a preamble with them, and so these are all these things that matter. And most important, you need to be humble. You're not a rock star. You're not a me as an organizer. I'm not. I'm humble. I'm glad. have the opportunity. I'm blessed that I can do this for the community. I'm blessed that I could get so many bands on stage. I'm blessed that there are so many audiences who's supporting me. I'm blessed that there are so many friends and well-wishers on my WhatsApp group. I'm also I'm glad that there are other competition. There are other people who think they're competition. I'm glad this competition only helps to get better. For all of us in the community. I mean, healthy competition is always good. But you know, if you are, it's all good. I mean, competition is good. It helps everyone to be on their toes, everyone to focus on their own gigs. As long as they do that, in other countries I don't see that. Like for example, in Bahrain, I don't think there are more than one organizer, or in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia, there is not more than one organizer doing shows. But here in Dubai, I think we have 4 or 5 organizers doing shows, which is amazing. Each one has their own genre of music that they're doing, which is excellent. But there is a mix or there is an overlap. Sometimes also the dates clash, which is a challenge. I mean, it all depends on bands. It all depends on venues. It all depends on a lot of factors. Sometimes it's very difficult to we try and keep ourselves updated as to what the other organizer is doing, so we don't have a clash with the other organizers on the same day doing a different gig. It doesn't. It's not professional. So we try as much as possible to I mean, at Resurrection, I try to do as much as possible to keep that sanctity here, and so. But sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes it's the bands are want to happen on that day, or the venue has only that particular day which is available. So there is this challenge as well. But overall, all in all, the whole thing needs to improve, and it needs to. I mean, the sound, the bands, the experience, the organizing. All these aspects needs to grow and lift up. I'm sure it is being lifted. It's changed a lot
Yeah.
from the time I've been here from 2004. I mean, and the audience is changing. We have to remember that we are all an expat-driven community here. I mean, all of those who attend the shows are mostly expat, or I can say 90% are expat. We have a few locals who are helping and attending shows, which is great. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, still that culture is not there in the local population, rock and heavy metal, but there are. I can see that's coming up as well. I mean, Touchwood, there are local metal bands coming up like Metro Rust, which is there. The local audiences, but we are mostly an expat-driven community, whether it is Europeans, Indians, or Asians, and people from the Middle East, from Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. I think these are some of the few countries that make up the audience, other than the Europeans from UK, France,
Yeah.
Germany. I mean, and of course Asia. I mean, Philippines is one of the. I mean, we have a large community of metalheads from the Philippines community. There, most of them are musicians, and most of them play shows at across UAE. I mean, most of the hotel bands and many death metal and even punk ska bands are also Filipinos. They have great talent, great musicians. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is more or less about the scene, about the audience, about the sound engineering,
Yeah.
an overall perspective that I, as an organizer, feel there are bits and pieces, chunks which needs to be rectified. It'll happen over time, over a period of time. You can't expect everything to be, with one magic wand. You can make everything happen, and especially when you have a crew of one person and my end.
And what I wanted to find out is from a hotel's point of view, or from the venue's point of view, what are the demands that they have, and are they kind of accommodating to what is it that an event organizer is doing?
See, George, I've seen a major shift in terms of the thinking of the organizers, or sorry, I mean the hotel venues. They don't mind the heavy metal. They don't mind the noise. They all they are interested is in revenue. They want
Yeah.
money, money, money. They don't mind any kind of music. But 10 years ago, this was different. But right now, because of the number of venues that are there, more and more hotels are open to having heavy metal concerts, or open to having heavy metal events at their venues. The main challenge that they have is revenue. So certain hotels have certain targets in terms of revenues. I don't get into this because I don't want to be stressed out on this, because I tell them clearly that I cannot do it if this is what you're looking for. So they want a minimum guarantee, they want a minimum spend, they want a minimum kind of threshold amounts to be spent either in tickets or in terms of sales of food and beverages. So this is their primary concern. They are not bothered about the sound. They're not bothered about the facilities that they are providing at the venue, clean toilets, whether they have napkins, ashtrays. I mean, whatever the small facilities. They're not bothered about that. They just want to generate revenue. They want to make money because running a competitive venue and spending so much money in a venue which can hold heavy metal events is a lot of investment. So they want to recover their investments as much as possible, because they have staff, they have salaries, rents, electricity, water, power, so many things that is so much involved in this industry. Their main concern is money or revenue.
And I do know of a couple of event organizers in UK, and this is for ticketed events. And one of the requirements is that the band members are in a position to get at least, let's say, 10 paid members or 15 paid members in order to pay at that events. So that is, one of their requirements. And thankfully, I'm not sure, if you still have that in Dubai or
Yeah,
Tabernacle.
yeah. Sometimes certain bands do demand these kind of things, and we want to play, and we want to play at a gig. So I'm thinking whether, what kind of audience are you going to bring to this event? What can I say? Yin yang, it's like a balancing act. I mean, the band needs to play. You need to get an audience. I mean, who's going to bring in whom? Is the organizer going to bring the audience, or the band should bring the audience? I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, you put a big band on stage, the audience should come automatically. The organizer is organizing the event, making sure that the band gets all the facilities, or the sound, the equipment, the stage to play on, and when you to play this kind of music. I have asked these questions to certain bands. Sometimes some bands come up and say, "Hey man, you were going to Wacken, you're doing Bangalore open air. You know the organizers. Can we play a Bangalore open air?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, but how many audiences? How many
Yeah.
people know about you? Where have you played?" In fact, I have a lot of requests coming from India saying we want to play in Dubai. I
Mhm.
asked them, how many cities have you played in India? What's your audience? I mean, how many people do you have followers on your Instagram? How many
Exactly.
on your Facebook? How many albums have you released? Where all have you toured across the globe? Some of them don't have answers for these. They just say, no, we just want to play Dubai. I mean, so I need to spend my money, my hard-earned money, to get a band from wherever across the world, but I don't know if they're going to bring me an audience or not, and it's a big risk. It's a big risk. So the bands also have to think the other way around. I mean, give and take situation. So it has to be a win-win situation. Otherwise, I mean, the organizers are going to be stepping back, and not do shows. I mean, unless and until someone's got a venue where they own the whole venue. I mean, unless and until that happens, organizers will step back. The bands have to think futuristically. They have to think on behalf of the organizer as well. What are they doing on behalf of the organizer? Are they promoting the event? What are they doing?
The onus definitely lies in the band, not just in promoting their own events, maybe even the other band events as well. I think what band members need to do is, start promoting other events, not directly when they are playing, but, support the entire metal community as well. And what I'm liking is, you're a DJ yourself and you're a performer yourself. You're giving other band members some, positive and helpful advice. And the fact that they need to interact more with the audience, that is definitely a must requirement, especially for a heavy metal gig. And you talk about, the sound challenges. Hopefully some institutions, they send across graduates, so our life becomes easier. It becomes easier for you, and we as audience also get to listen to better music experience. Now, keeping the audience in mind, Vinod, what I wanted to find out is what is the message that you have for audiences, who are trying to visit these gigs? What is the message that you have for them, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, sure. George, I don't call myself a DJ anymore. I mean, I don't want to. I'm a playlist DJ. I just make a playlist and get there on stage. So the reason that I do that, as far as the music is concerned, you need to develop the atmosphere. You need to have that
Yeah,
music because without the music, without the background music, there is nothing much. Because you need to generate that atmosphere. You need to create the atmosphere before a band comes on stage or whenever things happen. I mean, around it, there's always has to be some kind of a music or an intro or whatever which needs to happen. That's why I play music. I call myself as DJ Vin because we have so many Vins here. We have Vinit, Vinay, Vinish. So it's Vin. But getting into the audience, as far as the audience concerned, they want everything free, bro. We want everything
yeah,
free, free alcohol, music, great sound, a lot of women in the crowd. I mean, they want the vibes, they want the best sound, they want everything free. I mean, this is something that needs to change. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, but I also know there is a paying audience who's coming in, and the things are changing. But as far as the audience is concerned, their basic concern is basically they want good live acts. They want international bands to come on stage. They want good local acts. They want the sound to be as perfect as possible. They want to pay zero for the alcohol. They want a good atmosphere, and they need to see a lot more women and all the rock and metal shows, which is definitely been happening. Yeah, so this is what I think more or less. They need to see all the facilities of the venue needs to be good, needs to be in a clean area. It needs to be accessible by metro. These are other aspects. They need to be having a good parking and in and around the area. I mean, for those who are coming by car, these are the other aspects. Safety for women, or you know, like I mentioned, easy access to the venue is also important. What else? Taxi availability of taxis in and around that area. Good lighting, good sound. Yeah, I think this is what the audience is looking at across the globe, or even in this is what it is. I think this is what you look for as well, I guess, right?
yeah. One of the biggest cultural differences which I've noticed, is, let's say if you're in UK, and if let's say if your best friend or your friend is playing for a heavy metal gig, what I notice is that the friends and colleagues over there, they would be more than willing to pay for that gig because they want to support their friend. But let's say in Dubai, UAE, or Middle East, or even in India, if your friend is playing, or even if your friend's friend, someone whom you don't know is playing, you would tend to ask for free tickets. And that is something, I'm not sure if that would eventually change
Yeah.
over time. And this goes back to, I think what our listeners should know is that you're doing this out of your own hard earned money. And if you want,
Yes.
you can do something else. You're doing it
Correct.
purely because of fashion, as long as, our listeners at least aware about that. Maybe support you, not necessarily financially. Maybe something that you mentioned, let's say doing some artwork, or maybe helping you in some sound engineering, or maybe volunteering for any other thing. That'd be absolutely brilliant as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But let me tell you that things in India are changing for sure. I mean, today a lot of people are paying and attending shows. They know there's not going to be a free gig for sure because there's a lot of investment from the organizer that goes in. There's a lot of effort that goes in from the organizer, and also the audience respect the bands, and also the bands respect the audience, and it's a vice versa. It's a mutual feeling because the bands want to see the audience want to see the bands. But here it's not that. I think it's more of the bands want to play and the audience. It depends where uh, they're very finicky about where they want to go and what they want to do on the weekend because Dubai, as you know, has a lot of options and so it all depends on various aspects. I mean,
And what I want to find out, we know this, you've done events in Bahrain, you had a stint rather in Qatar, you've done a couple of events maybe in India, or at least being part of a couple of events in India, let's say Bangalore Open Air. And in the near future, you will be part of Wacken Open Air as well, which we'll touch base upon later on. But what I want to find out is, from your point of view, what has been the most memorable heavy metal event that you have organized and you are part of? And what is it that stands out for you?
most memorable gig I can say is one that we did at a small bar in Barsha in somewhere around December 18th or 22nd or 23rd. That was Reprobate Tabernacle. I think that show was really really awesome, and that was just out of the world. I think that is one of the gigs. I got a real kickoff, and everything was amazing. And also my first gig that I did with the Omani band Arabia, that was something thrilling. I mean, that was something out of the world. And of course, my first gig that I did way back in 2013 with Creative Waste, with The Void from India, and Smoldering and Forgotten Bahrain. These are my top three gigs that I did in Dubai or in the Middle East. So these are really memorable. But not least, Gutslit was great as well. I mean, unfathomable. Every gig has got a different feel. Every gig is great. Every gig has got its own curation. It's got its own feel. It's got its own feel and touch about it. I mean, it's different. I like I said, these are three top gigs, but every gig has a very are all valuable and all very very important. I mean, I cherish each and every gig that I did. Every gig that I did, even the last SummerSlam Fest 2 that I did was amazing with bands like AKB coming on stage, and they killed it. I mean, they're awesome. Abdi Ante is an award-winning band. They did a great job. And also our friends from Wayward Spin, they did some two covers, and they did a great job as well. So yeah, I mean, so these are some of the gigs that I did, and but I've attended a lot of other gigs across the globe, which have been awesome. I mean, yeah, lots to talk about. Yes, I'll be attending the Wacken Open Air this year, but I'll also be traveling to Brutal Assault as well. So I finished Wacken, and then I'm going to Brutal Assault to Prague.
That is absolutely wicked. We'll definitely touch base on those questions. But before that, what I wanted to ask is, organizing events, particularly heavy metal events in the Middle East, is a challenge. And there is cutthroat competition as well. And as we know that there are different event organizers in the Middle East. So what is the message that you have for them? Particularly keeping in mind the kind of genre that we play. What message do you want to put it across to them?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I mean, see, the message is very simple. I mean, don't step on other people's toes. And similarly, it goes to everyone. I mean, we are here as a community. I mean, it's simple. Play your game neat and clean, and live and let live. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, if you're specializing in a specific genre, stick to that, and make that genre grow. Or see, I prefer my brutal death metal, slam, or thrash, and this is my specialty. I mean, I'm into heavy metal. These are my specialities. I mean, I don't do much of events which are more jazz or glam or blues. Or I mean, this is not my genre of music. Although I love it, I like it, I love the audience and everything. But yeah, if you have your genre of music that you want to showcase to your audience or to your venues, I mean, stick to that, and yeah, keep the common friendship, and keep everything positive in the scene. I mean, that's very important for the scene to thrive. And yeah, there have been past challenges with whatever, but I keep an open mind. I mean, I'm not here for the competition or making the money. Money comes next to me. I mean, for me, the objective of doing these shows is not money 100% because I put money from my pocket. I don't have a sponsor. I don't have anybody supporting me. It's my hard-earned money that I put in, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, yeah, each organizer to themselves, but live and let live.
That is a beautiful and powerful message. Now, we know social media and technology is definitely a significant part in our role, especially in our day to day lives. And how does social media affect promotion is definitely something which is so critical. So, what I want to find out next is, what is the strategy that you use to, let's say, reach out to potential attendees and spread the word across regarding metal events?
Sure, that's a great question. Earlier in my old days, it used to be word of mouth. I mean,
Yeah,
nowadays the word of mouth exists but doesn't exist. So I do a lot of WhatsApp marketing. I have my Instagram pages. I do a lot of reels. I do a lot of videos with the bands. So I'm present on paid advertising on Instagram, on Facebook. I invite people via the events page on Facebook. I do a lot of marketing. I spend a lot of money on marketing. My budgets on marketing are pretty high. I mean, that's where I spend all my money on because it's about the reach. It's about getting out there, getting the word around. Whether it's a small gig or a big gig, I have a certain budget that I spend where I control my weekend expense, and I put money in the marketing aspect of it. I mean, so that's what I do. Yeah, I do all social medias everywhere. My friends help me out, like you. I have a few other friends who put out posts on their pages, their stories. I mean, which is really awesome. I mean, I really am grateful to them and thankful to them for spreading the message because it's very important to spread the message around and reach out to as many people as possible. But paid advertising is what I do mostly, and yeah, in my WhatsApp group, I have some 330 people on my WhatsApp group. So even if I have 50 of them attend, I'm happy and grateful. Yeah, this is how I reach out to my people, and I keep shouting out loud as much as possible. I'm always there on the social media. You can see resurrection events or teacher win on most events. It's out there.
and the WhatsApp group that you have is, is absolutely fantastic. Sometimes it does get a bit chaotic. Now, we know that I'm going to put you on the spot right here. What is the word of advice or message that you have for our community who is active on the WhatsApp group?
See, we started the WhatsApp group as fun because I was doing the DJ nights back in Dugout. We started this group in 2019. A few friends started this group, and we wanted to keep ourselves updated about music and whatever. It was a fun group. We used to pull each other's leg and have fun, whatever. But in the last 2 3 years, it's grown to 300 members. I mean, that's a lot
Yeah.
of people to control. I mean, I have people from Russia, I have people from Italy, I have people from France, I have people from India, Philippines. I mean, it's a huge community. It's a huge group to manage as an admin. I created this for fun and people to share their music, people to share ideas about sound, people to share about ideas about playing guitar or anything related to music within the UAE and the Middle East region, basically, or any uh, any knowledge based stuff that people can give some info about. Any bands, anything on that sort is what the group is focused on. Now it's got a little bit more serious because we have more serious players who join the group. We have musicians, we have bands, we have people from various countries who are watching us, who are part of the group as well. So it's a little bit more serious. So the only advice that I give is just stick to the music and spread the word of the music. And there's just stick to the music, and the more knowledge you give, the more knowledge you will get.
I'm going to put you on the spot once again, Vinod. What is one word you would like to tell to the WhatsApp group?
No, metal forever, dude. Metal forever. That's what I
That is
want to say.
absolutely.
Metal forever. I mean, keep it metal, keep it simple, keep the faith, keep it simple. I call it KISS.
Yes.
That is KISS. Keep it short and simple. I mean, When you're on a WhatsApp group, you don't want to be the champion. You don't want to be championing the WhatsApp group, and you don't want to be seen heard every time. Yeah, share music, share a track, share a anecdote, share an info about a musician, share a lick on guitar, share a thing. It rather gets boring if you're the only one who's posting and is going on, So just share something which is I think let that post breathe for a while. Sometimes people are so finicky nowadays; they cannot wait to post their own stuff. Someone posts
Yeah,
and you have another post immediately. I mean, give a breathing time for the post to digest for everyone else to read it. I mean, before that, you have 20 other posts which is coming. This is an important announcement of a weekend gig which happens, and you have someone suddenly posting something which is irrelevant to the above post. I mean,
yeah,
people are so what can I say, fidgety, or people are just they want the phones are always in their hands, I believe. I mean, give time to breathe, let people digest the information, and then post something else. I mean, you can't be like going on, This is why people might quit the group, or keep respect for people from different nationalities, because we are people from different language. Let's keep the communication in one language, which is English. Let's keep it in English. I mean, you don't need to do any other language, because most people don't do understand English, and that should be the language of communication on WhatsApp groups. And respect women. I mean, respect women. Don't do derogatory gifs and derogatory comments and below the belt comments, which are not right. I mean, you could be banned from the group, or you could be told to leave, or you could be told softly not to get into these activities, because there are other women. I do get complaints once in a while that this individual has gone beyond the limits, and I try and control as an admin, but I also want to let it free, and I want people to be free on that group. Let them post what they want, what they feel. I mean, we're all humans at the end of the day. We need to share. We need to care. I mean, a lot of us are going through a lot of challenges. So, like, it's about friendship, but overall, everyone is going through a lot in their lives, whether it's mental issues, whether it's sleep issues, whether it is girlfriend issues, boyfriend issues. I mean, there are lots of things that is faced by each and every one of us in the male community, and I want to keep this open. I want to keep it free. I want to keep it, as everything. I mean, anyone wants to express, as long as it's you've taken permission either from the admin, you want to share something. It's always good to take an opinion from the admin whether this is good to post, not good to post. Before even you post it and then regret it, because we do have some drunk posts sometimes on the weekends. I mean, which is not advisable. If you're not drunk, it's better not to post stuff which you might regret the next day in the morning. Then you have to delete it, or somebody has to delete it from the admin, or not to do that. There are some bump posts as well, where suddenly somebody just records some vague noise, and all these happen. So yeah,
yeah,
these are things, but I want to keep my WhatsApp group free and open. I don't want to control it as only admin posts, or nobody else posts. I want to keep it. Everybody has freedom of speech. Everybody has their own right to talk about metal, talk about music. I mean, about their likes, about their dislike in music, about the bands, about the artists, about drummers, guitarists, vocalists. I mean, the region. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be, everyone, all the participants to be open and feel free and feel like a community, feel like a family as much as possible. I mean, whether on WhatsApp or when they meet in reality, I'm trying to form a community when you meet. I mean, now I am sure most of them know each other. I mean, when you came into the group, you didn't know anyone except me.
absolutely
I mean,
correctly.
so now you know everyone. You interacted with bands, the bands have interacted with you. Now you're trying to form your own band. You've met fellow metal musicians, in from the group or outside the group because of attending events, whatever. This is what I want to create. I want to create a positive atmosphere. I want to create atmosphere where you can feel that there are friends who you can lean on in your bad days, on bad mood days or whatever. You have someone to lean on or someone to talk to. You can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, dude," or whatever. Not on the WhatsApp, but on the phone. I mean, just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, George. I mean, it's been bad or good or whatever. Yeah, the event was good. This is the feedback that I want to give you about the event. I want communication to be open. I want communication. It's for everyone. I mean, I created this group for everyone, and yeah, that's what I want to do. And this is the message I want to give to my WhatsApp group.
Absolutely beautifully said. And what I particularly like about the WhatsApp group is, it has people from different cultures, different locations, and from different ethnicity as well. It's great that the metal is keeping everyone together. Now, earlier on, you also meant about keeping it short and sweet, that is Kiss. But what I wanted to ask next is more at the macro level, because the popular band called Kiss, and even Guns N' Roses, they are planning to play in UAE as well. So, from an organized point of view, I want to take a step back. And at a macro level, how does this heavy metal icons playing, let's say, in Middle East, how does that actually help the overall heavy metal scene?
Yeah, I mean, Guns N' Roses already played now. I think the gig is over, and Girish and the Chronicles opened for them recently. This was in Abu Dhabi. That gig is over. Yeah, Kiss is playing in October. I'm attending the gig. It's great. It's great to have Dubai on the map, or UAE, or the Middle East on the map of heavy metal or heavy metal music across the globe. It helps a lot in terms of tourism. It helps a lot in terms of getting people to come and visit the country. It gives a positive image about the country, the culture, the openness about the royal family, the openness about the country to look at new things, new technologies, robotics, the futuristic things that Dubai is looking at. This also is important. Heavy metal is also an important aspect, or music is also an important aspect of it, like how we open up the Grand Prix. These are all world opportunities. These are opportunities to have eyeballs from across the world looking into Dubai. I mean, when Kiss plays, I mean, the whole eyeball of the world is looking at Dubai. When the Grand Prix happens, the whole world is looking at UAE or Abu Dhabi. I mean, this is what we want. I mean, heavy metal today is an accepted culture or accepted norm across the globe. We are not Satanists, or we are not bad people. Or I think heavy metal
Absolutely.
has been proved time and again that is the most honest, simple, and loving people ever. I mean, across interviews or across various researches that's been done by various organizations, heavy metal people are the most happiest people, because we tend to leave out our frustrations when we listening to our music, and we are very happy. So I think overall it really helps Dubai and really helps UAE as a country to be recognized globally as a music hub for heavy metal. I mean, this used to be the case when Dubai Rock Festival used to happen, and we had Motorhead, we had Ark Enemy, we had Sepultura, we had so many bands play here. Machine
I think
Head,
even Opeth
Odyssey,
played as well, right?
uh, that I think 2008 or 9, I think they played.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, so this helps Dubai to be on the world map. I mean, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at tourism. We're looking at to fill the hotels. We have so many hotels in Dubai. All the rooms are empty. I mean, we don't want it to be empty. I mean, if we have so many exhibitions, we have so many seminars, we conduct so many things. Similarly, if you have a heavy metal festival, which is a 2 day, 3 day, whether it could be in Ras Al Khaimah, it could be in Dubai, it could be in the desert, it could be in the winter, it could have a 2 day festival. I'm sure, we can revive the Desert Rock Festival. There's an interest. There's a lot of people who would attend. You'll have tourists coming from the region to attend this festival. I mean, it could be a huge thing for UAE. I mean, it has happened before with the help of sponsors, with the help of airlines, with the help of the hotels, with the help of the hospitality industry. And I mean, this is not a big a deal as far as Dubai or UAE is concerned. I mean, it just needs one person, one organization to get up and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. I'm here. Let's do it. I mean, that's how Bangalore Open Air started in India way back in 10 years ago. I mean, that's a primary example that I can give you. This small festival. And today it completes 10 years of Bangalore Open Air. I mean, it's gone through its ups and downs. It's gone through its challenges in terms of revenue generation, in terms of whatever. But today it's an established kind of festival in the region. Everybody knows about it, and it's associated with back and open air, which is another important thing. Similarly, we can do something similar. Associations with brutal assault or obscene extreme or Wacken or Bloodstock or Hellfest or whatever. I mean, there are so many, but you need someone up there in the governmental to open up doors for us to do such a big event and get the community. This will definitely help Dubai in terms of tourism, in terms of more flights, in terms of hotels being full, the pubs being full. Overall, it'll generate a lot of revenue to the economy. I mean, especially in the summers or whenever you want to do it. I mean, even in the winters, if it's a possibility, I mean, that's a great time, beautiful time to do a lot of events in the open air. I mean, we have a lot of venues, the Emirates Golf Club. I mean, we have a lot of open air venues across UAE, which we can utilize. Etihad Arena, the Coca-Cola Arena. I mean, these are all places that we can do the events. I mean, there are more places across UAE. I'm sure it would be a great positive message that Dubai and UAE gives to the world that heavy metal is open here and you can play as a heavy metal musician here in Dubai, and there is no qualms or there is no restrictions as such. This will open up a lot of things for UAE. And
Absolutely.
these bands coming, Kiss and Guns N' Roses and Metallica and all these Black Sabbath, all these bands coming in, really helps the country.
I really am hoping that, in the next coming years, we do have an open air session or an open air event, probably in Ras Al Khaimah or Wadi Shoka, and the scenery there is absolutely wicked and beautiful, or maybe in Abu Dhabi or maybe even in Sharjah. Now, what I want to find out next is, Vinod, now how do you in particular choose the bands to perform at your concerts, and how do you go and approach them?
See, basically, I come up with a theme or a concept for an event. So I look at the like-minded bands that fit the concept, and that fit the idea of the event as such. So that's how I do events. I mean, again, I'm not running these events for revenue generation. I'm doing these events for a community. I'm doing it to get unknown bands on stage, unknown musicians on stage. This is my primary objective. I mean, if I can cover my costs, if I can cover my costs, that's my objective. So I do a curation in terms of what the event is going to be, what it should be like. I visualize how the event should be before anything else. For me, each and every event is special. I'm not doing this on a commercial scale. I'm not doing this on an everyday scale. I'm not doing it on an every weekend scale. I visualize what the event should be. I visualize the audience. I visualize the atmosphere. I visualize the music. I visualize what is lacking in the region, in the community. What's missing? What is the missing link? What's happening this week? What do I need to get out of the people's mind? I needed to get out. Oh, it's summer. I needed to get them out of their summer slum. So I needed the March massacre to get them going. I had the Desert Inferno some time back. So I come up with concepts, ideas based on my own research on the music, talking to people like you, talking to the audience, talking to musicians, talking to people. And that's how I come up with these events. I want to feel the positive vibes. And once I get those positive vibes, I put up that event. So, and I work with closely with the hotel management, which is also vital part of my business. So I need to know from them what are they expecting, what are their expectations, whether I can reach those expectations or not. I mean, I need to be clear with them because my case is a hit and run case because I'm not generating revenue in terms of tickets or in terms of anything. So they need to be confident, and yeah, lots of these small factors, the sound engineer, so many things comes into play. The artwork, I get my artworks done outside. I mean, most of my venue or the material I get it done from India, Europe, Far East, or even sometimes local designers help me out with the concept and ideas. So yeah, there's a lot that goes in. It's not just come and do something and get it out of the thing, and you just move on and do another gig, and that's not it. I curate it. I try and see it's like a piece of art, like a piece of work that I remember or people should remember. Oh wow, I attended this gig and I saw this band. It was fantastic. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, uh, that's the whole thing that I want to do.
And you know what I think, being an event organizer is definitely demanding, and it's great, for our listeners to understand what is it that you're going through. Now, what I want to find out next is how do you find a balance between, let's say, passion for heavy metal, your personal responsibilities, you have a family as well, and your personal life. So, what is it that you do in order to just maintain a really calm personality and work-life balance, essentially?
It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. I mean, it's a lot of stress, but I enjoy the stress. I think I thrive in stressful environments. I've always been into sales. I've always done sales across all the countries that I lived in. I thrive in stressful environments. I've seen that I give my best when I'm stressed. I mean, and I stay calm. It is a combination that I've realized long back in my sales career that the more the stress is, the more calm I am. I mean, like in cricket or like in Dhoni or whatever. I don't want to be there, but I'm saying that I'm a calm personality. I try to keep my calm, and although there's a lot of stress, I try and balance it out. Basically, the way I balance it out is firstly through music. I mean, I'm doing these gigs and getting positive feedbacks from people like you and other people in the audience. That gives keeps me going. Then I spend a lot of time with my kids at home and listening to music and watching some positive, sports stories, listening to some, positive music, some meditation. Sometimes I get, some sleepless nights. I listen to some meditation, which helps me. And also, I do some little bit of exercise whenever possible. I try and control diet. Diet is what makes you who you are. I mean, you is what you eat. That makes your mind as well. So all a combination of things, by experience, by what I've seen, read. I try to keep myself calm and relaxed as much as possible. I mean, yeah, sometimes the alcohol helps as well. So
Um,
yeah, so overall, I mean, these things, I mean, it's just that a few encouragement, recognition here and there is what I really cherish. So those well wishers are always there behind my back, giving a pat on my back. But I also get complaints. But yeah, there is a lot of stress. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do. This is not something that you can balance your music, your work, your family, and your other obligations that you need to complete on a daily basis. I mean, it's really challenging. It's really stressful, but I'm glad I'm contributing to the community. I'm really glad that people are attending, people are appreciating, the bands are loving it. I mean, all of these combinations is what makes it positive. Positive, and I try to chill. I try to take it easy, one day at a time, one event at a time. Um, yeah, I mean, it's also all a mental thing. You need to be strong mentally. I mean, I also tell a lot of bands that they need to be strong mentally. I mean, you are as an organizer, you need to be a tough cookie because you need to face challenges live on at the venue, and you need to be a tough cookie, whether it's challenges with the hotel, with the bands, whatever. You need to stay calm, focused, relaxed. I mean, it's all your body language and have a smile on your face. I mean, what is it you're doing? You're doing something to keep everyone happy. I mean, for me, it is this journey of music is like a pursuit to happiness. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, during our stressful days, we are in pursuit of happiness at the end of the day through music or through meditation, through sport, through whatever. It's each one has their own, level of happiness. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Meditation definitely helps. After that, listen to, let's say, Dying Fetus back to back, maybe even DXI
I
definitely
want to
helps.
listen to it back to back, dude.
And
I
maybe,
don't
a couple
mind.
of
I
points.
love Dying
Or even,
Fetus. I mean,
yeah,
they're an awesome band.
Just going out for a run or even doing some gym activities definitely help. Now, Vinod, before we get into the questions regarding WAC and open air, what advice would you like to give to, let's say, an aspiring event organizer who's probably a bit young and who does want to venture into the field of, let's say, heavy metal events, especially in a city like Dubai? What advice would you like to give to them? And this is someone, let's say, who's just wanting to get into the event organizing space.
Yeah, I mean, he or she needs to basically understand the rules and regulations of the country, what's doable, what's not doable, needs to know what the venue is. Someone who wants to do a heavy metal event, it's definitely not something very easy that you can pull it up, but I'm not trying to discourage, but they should cover all aspects. They should speak to people who have already done it or people who are already in it with the bands and with the venues. They need to cover all bases before they even venture into something like this because this is something that can burn money. This is something that you can lose your money. So I don't want my friends and entrepreneurs or people who want to get into this to lose money. I mean, as long as they have enough money to burn, I mean, yeah, go ahead, please go ahead and do it. But plan, strategize, conceptualize, visualize. I mean, these are the keywords that I would use for a upcoming, entrepreneur who wants to do a ML gig.
Now, Vinod, you're the judge for WAC and Open Air this year. But before that, Vinod, what I want you to do is I want you to tell us the very first live video that you saw of a band performing, let's say, either in WAC and Open Air or any open air festival. Do you recollect what was the very first band that you saw playing live? And I'm talking about not live as in physical, but let's say even on a CD, because back in our days we had CDs, you even had cassette tapes or videotapes. So do you remember what was the very first band that you saw? And it'd be great if that was probably from back in open air.
Yeah, so George, this is not my first year as being the judge of the Wacken Medal Battle. This is my second year. I did the same last year as well, and just to correct that. So this is my second year as a judge of the Wacken Medal Battle. Talking about the first video that I saw of a band, live performing live, was I think Iron Maiden. I mean, I
Oh,
think
okay, okay.
this was way back in the 90s when I think it was Live After Death was the first live show that I saw on VHS tape. The way back in the 90s, I had to put the tape and then somebody got it from the US and, you had to rewind it and play it from the start. So it was Iron Maiden. It's crystal clear in my mind. So it was Iron Maiden live after death. But although I did hear on cassette, what I heard live was Deep Purple live is what I heard. Kiss Alive 1 and 2, I think, was something that I heard, and Scorpions Worldwide Live.
Yeah.
This was on cassette as well. So cassette, Scorpions Worldwide Live, Kiss 2, Deep Purple. These were bands that I heard live first time and also Doors. I heard Doors on cassette. So these were some of the first bands that I heard live on thing on tape. And yeah, after that I did see some the Headbangers Ball, which used to happen every Thursday or every Saturday on MTV.
Yeah.
That's
MTV,
where I
correct.
saw some of the death metal bands. I saw Napalm Death. I saw Pantera live. I mean, that's where I saw a few videos, and then yeah, from there onwards, a lot of videos I saw of live band because we used to have a pub in Bangalore called the Sticks, which used to play all videos of bands, live on their screens across in Bangalore. So that's where I used to see all the bands live. They recorded and played at this pub. It was an amazing experience. I mean, it's one of the best metal pubs that existed in Bangalore. It was called Sticks.
And how does it feel now to be judging and representing Wacken Open Air from the Indian subcontinent?
Oh, it feels absolutely great, man. I mean, the experience last year was amazing. I mean, what I saw there and what a huge festival it is, and it's a hair-raising event. It's absolutely awesome. But as far as judging goes, it's a lot of hard work as well. You have to stand there, watch each and every band, go through every step of their motions, everything.
Yeah,
It's no shade. You're standing in the open air, and Europe right now is burning hot. I mean, last year Wacken was extremely hot. I was only drinking water last year. I was carrying water all the while because it was extremely humid and hot. Yeah, but it was a great experience. I mean, so it's fantastic the way Wacken organizes the event, the Wacken Metal Battle across the globe, across India, across Nepal, across all the countries. I mean, South America, Europe. I mean, each and every country in Europe has a metal battle, which is great. Israel has a metal battle. South Africa has a metal battle. Luxembourg has a metal battle. I mean, so many countries in the world has metal battles. So it's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's something great. I mean, this is something that's awesome. That's happening across countries. I mean, it's brilliant.
that is absolutely brilliant. Now, Vinod, I have two more questions. Now, the next question is more to do with artificial intelligence. Because since last quarter of 2022, artificial intelligence is definitely making a lot of news, and that could be quite scary as well because, there are also threats, possibly to end human civilization as well. How do you think artificial intelligence, let's say, impacts heavy metal music and the heavy metal industry? Now, the reason why I'm asking you this question is just 2 days ago, on YouTube, I just randomly typed in AI heavy metal music, and you'll be surprised that there are quite a lot of bands that are using artificial intelligence. And one example I can think of, someone has actually copy pasted Ed Sheeran's voice into Holy Diver. And to be honest, the outcome is absolutely surprising. So, based on your experience, how do you think artificial intelligence would impact the heavy metal industry?
It's definitely going to dilute the industry. I mean, I might be old school, but intelligence should be used to enhance, ease of life or ease of work or ease of doing complicated things. But this shouldn't be coming in, where skills are involved, like playing the guitar or getting into voice modulation or something like that. But it should, like anything in the world, it should be used wisely. Artificial intelligence of the heavy metal industry should be used wisely. I mean, to create maybe certain sounds or certain patterns of music. It's all right, but you should not be faking it to make it. I mean, if you fake it to make it, I mean, you're not realistic. You're not being real to yourself or to the world. I mean, what kind of legacy are you going to be leaving? A legacy of what? Being fake, being oh, I can create this music through artificial intelligence, through AI or whatever. I mean, is that what you want? Is that shouldn't sound and music be natural? I mean, when I was a child, I used to love to go to the ocean and listen to the sound, or I used to love the birds chirping in the trees, or the wind, or the sound of the wind. I mean, these are basic noises that I used to hear as a child, and I love the natural sound of things. I mean, if I'm going to be creating artificial sound for my sensual enhancement, I mean, I don't know what is the limit. I mean, for me, it's more about being natural. I mean, whether it is whatever, when you hear a particular sound of a bell chiming or whatever, the natural sound. I mean, this is what I've grown up with, or this is what I feel. It should be real. Artificial intelligence is good, but it should be used intelligently in the music industry.
Especially when you talk about heavy metal or extreme metal, it's the actual live experience, isn't it? And one thing which you mentioned earlier as well, interaction with, let's say, with the audience as a band member and doing the mosh pit, that is what makes it completely unique. Yeah.
I mean,
And
yeah. See, I mean, this is so true, right? But just to get back into that, during the Zoom period, we had concerts on Zoom or on
yeah,
live on Facebook or whatever. But that didn't have that impact as much as going to a live concert or whatever. So it might grow, it might be great where you can sit and watch a band sitting at home. The only happiness that I would have doing that is I wouldn't be seeing a lot of mobile phones waving in
yeah.
live concerts. So that's the only thing that I'll be happy about. But my thing is yeah, it has to be natural. I mean, going to a live concert is something that that's natural. That's the real thing. I mean, that's where you can see the real character of the band, the real charisma of the vocalist, the guitarist, the skills of the drummer, and everything else. I mean, yeah, live is what we live for.
And the experience of a live event is definitely something that cannot be replicated. Now, I have one final question, Vinod, and that is once again to do with artificial intelligence, because I tend to use ChatGPT quite a lot. So, what I did, Vinod, all of your questions, I put it in ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT to ask you a question. So, mind you, this question is not by me, but it is rather an artificial intelligence asking you a question. So, I'm just going to read it out verbatim. The question is this, Vinod. You face numerous challenges as an event organizer and have worked tirelessly to bring the heavy metal community together in Dubai, from battling venue restrictions to create an inclusive atmosphere for diverse audiences. Your dedication shines through. How do you envision this experience impacting not only your personal journey, but also the future of heavy metal in the region and beyond? That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Quite a lot to digest, but see, it's bingo. It's on point. I mean, see, the ChatGPT is a good, good, good stuff. I think it really helps, but I really don't know what are the negatives till we really see it more and more often. But it's a great, great AI question. Or it's a great thing. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of challenges like I mentioned before. I mean, in this industry, it's not easy. Even Whack-In or Bloodstock or Hellfest, they've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, 40, yeah, the biggest is 30, 35 years, maybe the biggest festival. But they face challenges every year. I mean, organizing these events, whether it's a crowd, whether it's sound, whether it is the bands, whether it is cancellations, whether it is permissions, whether it is loudness of the music. There are a lot of restrictions where they need to get permissions and everything. I mean, it's a challenge. You need to keep fighting. You need to be positive. I mean, just don't hear the naysayers. I mean, that's what I keep telling in my head. I don't want to hear naysayers. I'll keep doing what I think is right for the community. I mean, of course, with opinions and listening to people who are my well wishers, I do. But I'll keep the negative thoughts away and I keep a positive frame of mind doing such events because at the end of the day, it is draining my pocket quite a bit. But it's worth it. It's worth the journey. It's worth the feeling of seeing the bands live on stage. It's worth seeing the audience enjoying the music. It's worth seeing the expressions. I mean, this is what I live for. This is what I wanted to live for. I mean, yeah, metal forever, mate.
And can you give us an inside scoop of what is it that we can expect probably for the end of this year?
There is something big. There is something big happening. I mean, if everything falls in place, it's going to be something really big. So I can't reveal everything right now. I have to reveal it. I mean, then we won't have this podcast. It will be big, hopefully. I mean, fingers crossed. We are looking at some things as eruption events. I mean, hopefully things will fall in place by end of August. So we should have that announcement by early September. So yeah, I look forward to it and keep grinding. I thanks for all your support, Georgie Porgy, putting in a fight.
Thank you very
Thanks,
thank you very
thanks.
much, Vinod. Definitely for having this conversation, and I'm hoping that some of the listeners will definitely be inspired by what you're doing. And thank you once again, from the bottom of my heart for
Thanks a
talking
lot,
about it.
bro.
Thanks a ton, Vinod. Have a nice one.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.